Hello, everybody. We want to welcome you to the Papa Show on the Total Trash Network.
Hello, everybody. We want to welcome you back to the Papa Russ Show.
Welcome back, Russell.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
It is. We missed you.
Well, now that I realize that there was a hostile takeover planned, I might have to take more time off just to entertain these two. But it did kind of throw the plans of this last show off a little bit to where we had to delay it till this week. So we want to talk about gun violence and mental health. So I'm going to start over here and see if Sydney has brought anything to the table to begin with.
Mental health is, words just can't, there just ain't enough words to explain how important it is to take care of your mental health. I know someone who just recently lost a family member due to mental issues. They decided to take their own life.
True.
That's something that's really hard for anybody to have to go through.
I've lost a very close friend of mine due to suicide. Never talked about this one publicly. Someone I went to school with, he was dealing with a lot of stress from his family, and also he didn't have the best family situation, first things first. But he also felt like he wasn't getting anywhere in life, and back in 2018, I think it was beginning of September, he went into the woods and shot himself.
Well, since Sydney brought it up 9 days ago, I lost a cousin to suicide and mental health. 9 days ago. She just felt like life wasn't worth going after. And, she had started to turn things around, but life can get to where it's a heavy load. Right now we're all shook up over here. I mean, literally. I mean, Robert's so shook up, he's shaking the entire studio around.
Yeah.
No, I'm just bouncing my knees.
I'm just picking on you, Robert. It's a mental health thing, man. I'm just kidding. But the Olympics just happened recently, and Simone Biles, who is a part of it, she withdrew because of mental stress from being a gymnast. And the mental stress for her being the best in the world, she couldn't compete because of the mental stress that the media and the world puts on these people. You know, it's a sport, yes. But you know what? Even they feel the mental pressure of performing.
But I will say it was a pretty honorable thing for her to do, for her to step down, knowing and let her team take over when she wasn't all there.
Right.
Yeah. It was a very noble and honorable thing to do.
I agree. That was just one of the sports people. The tennis player. And let me go here to my notes here that I did bring.
I see 2 bullets.
While he's going to his notes, the gymnast that stepped down, it takes a lot to just say enough is enough and walk away from a stressful situation.
Right.
It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, you've got to know what your limits are and know when to say enough is enough.
Well, on stepping away from it on that level, from the sports part, think about it. Not only is it the mental stress part, the financial part for her, the financial repercussions that this could have for her stepping away from the World Games. Look at the commercial money dollars that she could have gained if she'd have won gold personally. It's not only a mental pressure thing. It's a financial wealth thing that it affects their pocketbook. It affects them mentally. It affects them physically. It's a circle. It's all a circle.
Yep.
It just all works hand in hand. we just think, oh, it's the mental part. No, it all works together.
Yep.
Plus, she was also dealing with something that they call in the gymnast world the twisties,
Right.
Okay.
which is where it's like a form of stage fright where you forget all the things you're supposed to know.
Yeah.
And it all works together.
It does.
That'd be like us. I mean, we were joking just before the show, and I promise it was just a joke because I don't want mental health to be a part of anything that we do, but Sydney was making a joke, do you like the nerds? And Robert over here picks on himself saying, I like myself, but you know what? Sometimes we can put so much pressure on ourselves that in our everyday life, the mental stress can affect us, and it can affect our jobs too.
Yep.
Tennis star is the other one I wanted to talk about. Naomi Osaka. She's the one that withdrew from the French Open and for mental health because she was facing that as well.
Yep. It's all about knowing yourself and what your limitations are.
Absolutely.
And a
Now,
lot of, I
Go
know,
ahead.
like one thing too that can really have a bad effect on people is how they think and feel about themselves. That can play a really big part of it too. And it's, you know, everybody talks about raising the awareness and being observant of the people around you, looking for the signs of it. But it's still difficult because they don't always show the
right.
signs that something is wrong. They'll put on a good face and outward appearance because they don't want anybody else to know. They feel like they're all alone.
Right.
The other part of that is, too, the other sad part is, even if you know and try to help someone, if they're not in the mental state of mind to want help, there's nothing you can do.
Nope.
Right. I was watching, I can't remember what day it was. It may have been, it was a news show earlier this week. They were talking about a man that was sitting in an intersection that held up a poster during the pandemic. And he just simply, the poster said, do you need to talk? Do you need someone to talk to? And he said, you don't realize the people that would just stop and just talk to him about the things they were going through. And that one man stopped to him and told him, man, I just feel like going and killing myself. And the guy said, whoa, hold on. And he actually sat there and talked to him for a couple hours. He said, dude, you really need to go get some help. You need to go to the hospital. You need to go to your doctor. If he hadn't had that poster sitting there, do you need to talk? Mm-hmm. I mean, we sit here and say, well, oh, that's just one life. Well, what's the value of one life? What is the value of one person that's saved from this type of situation?
Yeah.
The reality of it is, a lot of people don't realize how big depression is.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone will suffer from it to some degree in small parts of their life, but there's a lot of people too who have to deal with it every day, and it just doesn't stop.
Yep.
Right.
You know, you talk about the poster thing. I'd like to see more people of the church, you know, ministers doing things like that. I think that could start helping to make a big difference.
Right. I think with us just sitting here talking about this, yeah, it's a heavy subject. It's a very hard subject to talk about. Mm-hmm. It's a very deep subject. Yep. The other one that we were, you know, wanting to bring to the table, domestic violence.
And gun violence.
Gun violence. You know, they're big issues too.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times too, a lot of people don't realize they actually can go hand in hand in a lot of places, and that's why I wanted to bring these two topics up together.
Right.
Is because there are in some ways where these things will overlap.
Right.
One can cause the other.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Like the Virginia Tech shooting that happened
Several
all those years ago. Yep. And a lot of the other shootings that have happened.
Mm-hmm.
People who weren't right in the head
And
were able to get their hands on a firearm.
like, look how bad 2020 was, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone lost their job. At the height of it in April, the unemployment rate was at 14.8%. Mm-hmm. Small businesses closing down, and like no one could go anywhere. And it really goes to show their suicide became a real issue last year. People who have never suffered from it all of a sudden just got depressed and unfortunately took their own life.
Right.
And it also, the other thing is too, is that gun violence skyrocketed.
Right.
When everyone was home, no one had any outlets or anything to do. People got depressed and forced people to become desperate. And unfortunately, it led to higher shootings.
Yep. You're right.
2020 was the deadliest year in over 4 decades.
Did you just say 4 decades?
Yes.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a high number.
Yep, it is.
20,000 people in America was the victim of gun violence in 2020, with 24,000 people dying by suicide with a gun.
Wow.
It also had the highest suicide rate in a long time, too.
Well, on a little less depressing note, this has been brought to you by the like button. So,
Hey, I already got a plug for that.
Oh, here we go.
yeah. Hit that like button, guys. Let Robert know that you like him.
But no, it really goes back to my thing where, it does play a part. When people, one of the biggest causes of gun violence is either mental health issues or, well, actually I would say the majority of the contributors are either mental health issues or desperation. With people being locked down and not having anywhere to go, it exacerbated these issues, and with people losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods, it also contributed to gun violence.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you see somebody going through it and you're not sure what you can do to help, there are a lot of resources out there. You have the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255 or the Suicide Prevention Lifeline.org. I'm sure they could give you some ideas of...
You can also text that number now, too.
Yes, you can.
Huh.
One thing we do need to touch on really is suicide rates amongst veterans.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a big one. I don't have any information on that one, though.
That's probably one of the biggest portions of the suicide numbers here in the U.S. After what they've gone through to serve God and country, the things they've seen and had to do, the things they've experienced, it can be very overloading.
It can be.
With the PTSD, a lot of times they'll experience the PTSD, have nightmares night after night, unable to sleep. It's mentally draining.
Yep.
Our veterans are probably one of the biggest ones that have the most trouble with as far as the suicide goes. But they do also have a veterans crisis hotline too at 1-800, the same number, 273-8255 or veteranCrisisLine.net/chat.
So, actually, you want the official numbers for that?
Go for it.
So, a report establishes that there are 6,000 or more veteran suicides per year from 2008 to 2017. States that veterans consist of 13.5% of all death by suicide in the U.S.
13.5%.
13.5%.
That's almost 1 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's pretty high numbers.
Yeah.
But, we do have a mental health issue in this country. And
I'm not going to say one group of people is more important than another,
No.
but we if anybody, the ones we really do need to take care of is our veterans. We need to start doing better by them for what they've done for us.
Right.
It's because of them that we can enjoy the freedoms that we take for granted every day.
Yep. And some people hate.
Yeah.
Some people hate their freedoms.
You know, Vietnam veterans are getting to the age where now they're dying of natural causes and age. But you can still find them today and walk up to them and tell them, welcome home. And tears will come to their eyes because of the way they were treated when they returned to the United States from Vietnam.
Oh yeah, they did not get a very good welcome home.
They had fecal matter thrown at them. They had urine thrown on them.
All kinds of bodily fluids, yeah.
It was nasty the way they were treated and mistreated when they came back over a political war.
Oh yeah. And after everything they went through over there, especially, I believe it was during that war, they used something called Agent Orange.
They did.
That'll mess you up,
yes,
too.
it will.
People were dying almost immediately after exposure to that stuff from like cancer and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sad part is that the government knew and chose to go ahead and send them out with it.
Oh yeah, you know they knew.
And the cancer thing goes back to last week.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think that's pretty much wraps up what we had for today.
Well, no. I did also want to say one other thing.
Oh Lord.
So the other thing I wanted to say was, you know, we really need to start looking after one another. Like, you know, start showing people respect. You don't have to disagree. And I hate to make this political, but the reality of it is, you can disagree with someone and still be respectful to them. You know, you don't know how far that goes to where just showing respect to someone could really help them out a lot.
Yep.
And how your action does contribute to their mental well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, if we start trying to tackle this mental health crisis, I think people will start realizing that all the other things that we blame guns on and everything else will start subsiding.
Right.
You know, your mentality plays a big role in if you decide to go off and kind of snap and hurt somebody else.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's right. Firearms don't just get up by their own volition and go on a shooting spree.
And your average person who's in the right mind isn't going to hurt someone.
No. And it's not just firearms, you know.
Yeah.
There's millions of things out there that can be used as a weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
But the one, for some reason, the one that the media and politics have decided to focus on is firearms. Why, I don't know.
When in reality of it is, almost like I've said before, everything can be contributed to gun violence, to someone's mental health and someone's personal situation.
Yep.
If you start tackling those causes, then you'll come to realize the rest of the problems go away.
Mm-hmm.
No person that is not struggling is going to lash out and use a gun to hurt someone. It's desperation.
Yep.
Or it's a untreated mental health issue.
Yep.
It always is. There is
yeah.
no other reason why someone would commit a horrible act like that.
Yeah.
I agree. And gentlemen, I appreciate all the effort to put this one together. I want to thank both of you for coming so prepared. And I feel like this was a good show. So for this episode,
So long, everybody.
everybody